Welcome to Gulfstream today, and welcome to beautiful Gulfstream Park. Ron Nicoletti, along with Acacia Courtney, and starting a Wednesday afternoon with a good main track turf course. A little bit of rain here this morning, but we are still on the turf, and turf course is listed as firm. And you know what else we're starting anew today?
What's that?
The Rainbow Six, because someone hit it on Sunday for $307,000.
Somebody had a very good start to their week.
Yeah, so we'll see how that works out. We'll be starting anew today, as I mentioned. Good main track, firm turf course. Let's run through today's wagering menu. We started off in the first race with the rolling super high five, and that's available every time there is 7 runners or more in the field. And also we have our first of 2 pick fives in the first race. And Acacia will be showing your ticket. Now, with the 8th race card, which we will have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, the Rainbow Six will start in race 3, and there you see no carryover starting all anew. But lots of times over the last few years on the opening day, someone usually hits it again for a pretty good payoff. So it's a good day to bet it. You wouldn't think, but it's a good day to bet it. And then we close the day out in race number 4 with our final pick 5 of the afternoon, and that is a 50-cent wager. So that is what we're going to be offering today. And a fun week, as usual, here. We're going to have a great week all here. And, of course, this Saturday, the Belmont Stakes.
Yeah, very exciting. The 3rd leg of the Triple Crown. And there'll be no Triple Crown winner this year, of course, which is always a bit of a bummer. But it's still such an exciting race. So many cool storylines. And don't forget, you can watch it right here with us. It's bound to be a really fun day.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of nice races. We got, I believe, a couple of overnight stakes to offer on that day. So Saturday will be a lot of fun. But that is a few days away. So make your plans right now to come and join us on Belmont Stakes Day this afternoon. Let's get to the first race, and can't hold on to this pen. Race 1.
So excited about Belmont Stakes Day.
Exactly. No, more excited about your pick 5 ticket, because I'm calling it a Rainbow Six ticket. That's how excited I am. Let's show you pick 5 ticket.
Pick 5 ticket starts in the first race today, 50-cent wager. I had a $36 ticket to start off the day because I was able to find a single. That's in race number 2. It's with the Viva Bertha, the 7 Peter Walder trainee. This horse has been keeping some really good form, and then pretty deep for the rest of the card because I was able to find that single there. And if you're able to trim it down or beef it up a little bit, but to start, nice $36.
Nice, very affordable ticket there. And as I mentioned, we're starting today with the turf course listed as firm, and that main track is good. The first race on the turf, 1 mile and 1/8. These are claimers 3-year-olds and up, non-winners of 2 races in life, $16,000. And the current favorite is the number 2 horse, and it's Dave Hart.
Yes, this horse is dropping down to this level. Was beaten just by a length and 3/4 last time out. That was back the end of April, so had a little bit of a freshening now against $30,000 non-winners of 2 claimers, dropping down to the $16,000 level. So I think that the drop is probably in order. That was also the first start off the claim, moving over into the Marcial Navarro barn. So now had another start in the barn and that little bit of a freshening. All those things should come together nicely.
Yeah, and this horse got parked 5 wide in his last race. He finished that fast, closing 4th, beating only 1 3/4 lengths. As you mentioned, dropping down was the 30,000 2 lifetime claimers. This has shown the ability to stalk the pace and should appreciate this extra 16th of a mile today. Looks like the logical one. Now you went with the number 5 horse in second, and it is To Your Help.
This horse is moving over into the Angel Rodriguez barn, also a fresh gelding. If you look back at the last few races, hasn't really shown too much on the turf. In fact, the last win was back in July last summer. Another one that can sit off the pace, had a couple of barn switches. What I like, first of all, if you look back at how this horse has been running, I think that the fresh gelding is certainly needed and will be beneficial for this horse. A little bit of a freshening as well. The last start was March 23rd. But working very nicely and very consistently coming into this race. Had a pair of 47 and 3, 47 and 2, 4 furlong works before coming into this, and I just think it looks like all of those things coming together, as well as the ultimate equipment change.
Yeah, and then 9 to 5 on the morning line, sitting up there right now, very early in the wagering at 5 to 2. We both used the number 1 Benco Dinero on our ticket, who came from off the pace to finish 3rd behind a repeat winner called J.C. Mamba. That was back on April 9th. J.C. Mamba comes back and wins just the other day, and J.C. Mamba, one of 2 horses with the most wins at the meeting so far, the spring-summer meeting, with 3 victories. So keying off that performance, this would change running tack as he stalked the pace and finished second against 2 lifetime claimers last time out. He has that he'll have his versatility test today because he is jumping up in class this afternoon. But I like the fact that he's showing the ability to come from off the pace or stalking. So I like that tactical ability.
I totally agree. And that was the first start in the Jenna Antonucci barn. So maybe with the barn switch, they tried to switch up the tactics, and I think it paid off in a good way.
I closed it out with the number 6, El Canguro, who's stretching out after rallying to finish third behind aforementioned Banco Dinero in their recent clash at a mile and a 16th. So did not use the 5 on my ticket, but 9 to 5 on the morning line, up there right now at 3 to 1. A horse, when you're putting your early pick 5 ticket together, you want to go back and look at that again. Race number 2 this afternoon is 7.5 furlongs on the firm turf course. It's a starter optional claimer, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, $12,500. Scratch so far the number 9, Who's That Chick, and one of the main track onlys, number 10, My Wish List. And you mentioned you have the number 7 as your single in here. That's Viva Bertha. My best bet today is the number 3, La Pantalones Francais. So we do this again. We do it a lot. So let's hear about the 7 first, and I'll tell you why I like the 3 a little bit more.
Okay, so I went with the number 7, Viva Bertha. As I mentioned, Peter Walder, the trainer. Emisel Jaramillo is going to be in the saddle now, our leading rider here for this meet. This horse has quite a bit of speed, cut back in distance to the 7.5 on the turf last time out. It was a turf labeled as good. We're still firm on the turf today. We did have a little bit of rain this morning, but any sort of moisture, certainly no problem. And that was a very impressive win that time. That was against 12,000 optional claimers. So this horse just seems to have been keeping very good form. The most disappointing race, if you will, was one that was taken off the turf, but all of the turf form has been very impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, a logical choice. I have it on the ticket, but I did go with La Pantalones Francais on top. And about Emisel Jaramillo, I'm looking right here. He coming in today, 47 wins with Edgar Zayas, who's on the sidelines with 39. So Emisel Jaramillo riding in great form this afternoon. Now the number 3 horse is dropping to this $12,500 level, turning back to 7.5 furlongs after stalking the pace, flattened out a little bit at the 8th pole when finishing 5th, but that was against $25,000 optional claimers going a mile in the 16th. The trainer is Joyce Kelty, and she spots this 9-time turf winner where she should be effective. So I just thought the level here was where this horse belongs. And, you know, of course, I'm going to use the number 7, Viva Bertha, on my ticket. So we'll see how that plays out. But how to get a best bet and want to get a little bit of a price. We both used the number 1, Our Azura.
This was a horse that's always right up there in the action, but does seem to hang just a little bit second, third, second. Always in the action. Does have a couple of very nice victories at a multitude of distances. Is a winner at this 7.5 furlong distance, but again, one that seems to be more frequently in the money than in the winner's circle.
Yeah, can't beat Viva Bertha, and I think this horse's biggest problem is the fact its running style coming from off the pace last time out. Consistent late running type, as you mentioned, just needs that a little extra. Current nemesis, Viva Bertha. Ralph Kent needs the trainer. Eduardo Nunez handling the inside post. So you also have the 5 horse on your ticket with a kiss, who's a very nice 10 to 1 on the line.
So this was a little bit of my price play. I did actually like the 9, Who's That Chick, who scratched on the outside, as a little bit more of a price in this race. So I ended up going with the number 5, With a Kiss, who's dropping slightly to this level. Ran against $25,000 optional claimers last time and was only beaten 4.5. I thought it was a very respectable finish there, and had back-to-back wins. Broke her maiden at a mile, cut back slightly, and won against her first start against Winner. So I think that's always a good sign that there is some good form there.
Yeah, I like the price on that horse in race number 2. So let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Rainbow 6 and show you my Rainbow 6 ticket. We'll be right back. Welcome back for race number 3. It's a 6.5 furlong claimer, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. Non-winners of 2 races in life, $12,500. $100. And as I mentioned, the Rainbow Six will be starting in race number 3 and starting anew with no carryovers. We got to build it up starting today and show you my ticket right now. And you're going to see my single this afternoon. It's right in the first leg, and that's Pink Mama right on top. Then 3 deep, 3, 2, 3, and 4 was able to stretch it $43.20. But I got to get past this first part with the number 6, Pink Mama, who is now in the Angel Rodriguez barn. It's a 3-year-old daughter of mass media, drops to the 12-5 level, tries older horses for the first time after facing considerably tougher before the layoff. With, a little bit of success, I really like that where this horse is sitting today. You have it on top of your ticket. And I want to go back and just show you a trainer jockey stat. And it's a limited sampling, but it's something you really have to pay attention to. And I'm talking about trainer Angel Rodriguez with Matthew Rispoli in the saddle. So far, they're 4 for 6, 67%, $3.90 is the return of investment. So this Matthew Rispoli I'm talking about, riding for Frank Calabrese and Angel Rodriguez, he's been doing an incredible job. So I just thought I'd put that stat at limited sampling, but something you want to pay attention to.
Absolutely, and especially when you see it so consistently like that. And I had this horse on top for the same reason. And when these two do pair up, and I've been seeing from the Calabrese barn having some very solid horses coming out. So even to have such a positive ROI like that is a big deal. And this horse has some early speed as well, coming from the outside post, and has been working very nicely coming into this race as well.
Now you also have the number 5 on your ticket, a horse I did use. I only used one actually on my Rainbow Six ticket, but the number 5 Prize Arch.
Broke her maiden last time out by 2 1/4 lengths. And the reason that I liked this horse is because she has some nice stalking ability. I mentioned that the 6 Pink Mama does seem to have some speed, and there are quite a few other horses in here that look like they might be more forwardly placed. This is a horse that doesn't need to be on the lead, that can come from just behind the leaders. If there is some sort of pace duel or horses start to get a little bit tired, this is a horse that'll be right there.
Number 1, Miss Naline, I think it's pronounced, is turning back today to 6.5 furlongs after angling out to finish his second best, going to 1 turn mile. And note that her only previous victory came at this 6.5 furlong distance. 34 races, 1 win, 7 seconds, 4 thirds. But I don't know about this horse winning it, but I think someone you might want to put on your ticket. Don't know what it is on the morning line. Actually, 3rd choice, and I thought it'd be a little bit more of a price. Now, we both used the number 2 in here, and that's Playa Zaragoza.
This horse found a sloppy track last time out and still finished a very solid second. The winner that day, Jules Comprise, won by 4 1/4 lengths, so it was a pretty runaway winner that day. Wasn't going to catch that horse. But that was after moving over from the turf and first off the clay, moving over into the Victor Barbosa barn. This horse has some speed as well. I thought been keeping some pretty consistent form prior to that race and could be a player.
Yeah, I see it as she's going to the lead, and this is the one, and I was hoping Pink Mama would sit right off this horse here, because Playa Zaragoza, I should say, will be doing the best early running, I believe, in race number 3. So you saw my single, but that's just sort of a guide how you might want to put your ticket together. Race number 4, 7.5 furlongs on the turf, maiden claimers, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward. And we have 9 runners in the field. One of those a main track only, number 9, Liberty Road. Still in. Pete Aiello, our track announcer, will come up and update you on all the scratches we have when we get going here. And we both went with the number 8 horse, August Lily, on top of our ticket. I want to go back and show you this horse's last race. There was the number 3 this afternoon. And, this horse turned for home to the wire. Just looked like he didn't have any place to run. And we showed us a lot. Lacked room in here. And I just thought now finally gets a seam. And see her just right there, just looking for some room, trying to come out. And I thought once she got clear, she ran pretty well in that race. And there's another horse in this race that's also in here. And that's the horse who finishes 3rd. And that's Sassy Astray.
And we both used those 2 horses, and those are actually the 2 horses that I used on my late pick 5 ticket. So before we go in and talk about these horses a little bit more, we'll give you a quick peek once this race is finished showing. There it is, $54 for this. I wasn't able to find a single in the second half of today's card, a tough one, but I did use those 2 horses that you just saw in that race, the 6 Sassy Astray and the 8 August Lily, and they're pretty well spread throughout the rest. But I think that these 2 really look like the clear-cut ones in this race, if there is such a thing as clear-cut. that.
Yeah, and August Lily I'm talking about was knocking on the door in both Creed Turf starts, including that she lacked room just briefly in that race, but I think it was at this level and distance, and I think you got the right two between August Lily and, like you said, number 6, Sassy Stray.
Yeah, and it looks like both of them have a little bit different running styles. August Lily looks to be a little bit more of a speed or stalk type, whereas Sassy Stray definitely has some nice closing ability. I rounded it out with the number 2, Elizabeth's Vow, who is going back over to the turf, had a race taken off the turf last time out, but finished very well in the mud, and that was off of about a 4-month layoff as well, so, and also cutting back in distance, going back down to the sprints. And the first half of her career, there are a lot of gaps in the form, a lot of gaps in her races for sure, but I like the way that she's been working, and I liked the way that she finished up in the mud last time.
I got a horse that I threw in my ticket into number 3, El Vedado. This one moved to the Reed Nagel barn via the claim, makes her first start since she stalked the pace. She faded to finish 7, but it was behind a pair of next out winners when beaten only 3.5 lengths. It was against $35,000 maidens going a mile, and new connections have MCL Jaramillo named on this 3-year-old daughter of Big Brown, and I just thought there's some upside here. It was a pretty strong race this horse was in last time out, and you're getting 8-1 and you're getting our leading rider, so it's horse you might want to throw somewhere on your ticket.
Absolutely agree, and in fact in the early part of the pick 5, this was one of the horses that I was just staring at for the whole time, so I can certainly see making some sort of a run.
Well, race number 5 this afternoon is a 5-furlong turf event. Maiden claim is 3-year-olds and up. They're going to run for a $20,000 tag and scratch the number 2, All Hundreds, who I really like today, but not going to compete this afternoon, and also scratch the number 8, Jingle Bells. So we're dealing with a 5-horse field here, and I scratched into, I had both those horses on my ticket. Like I said, All Hundreds was my top pick. I used number 6, Mr. Pumpkin, taking an immediate drop to the 20 level after returning from the layup, went up, stalked the pace, weakened that day at the 8th pole to finish 6th. It was against maiden special weight competition at the distance. Thought this horse, on the drop would be okay.
Yeah, I like Mr. Pumpkin a lot, and I thought that this was a pretty wide open race, and I think that that's pretty clear by our selections being all over the place. I went with the number 3, 7 of Jack, who's a first-time starter for Victor Barbosa. Actually, and that was one of 2. Victor Barbosa did also have All Hundreds, but that horse ended up scratching. He keeps 7 of Jack in, his first-time starter. MCL Jaramillo is going to be aboard. I think that the turf pedigree is a little bit of a question mark, but as far as breeding goes, it's a half to a stakes place horse named Mike's Little Girl. So by Tail of the Cat out of an Afternoon Delights mare. So I thought it could be an interesting one, and has been working very nicely leading up to his debut.
Yeah, I had the same concerns about Tail of the Cats. Not really enamored with them on the turf, but a really good barn. Victor Barbosa Jr., you mentioned MCL Jaramillo, went back and tried to find a stat with horses debuting maiden claimers on the turf for Victor Barbosa Jr. There was only one previous horse, so he's not done this a lot of times. But with the scratches of the number 2 and the number 8 in here, I think it helps this first-time starter out a lot. Now, the morning line favorite in here was the number 5, Moon Stricken. We both decided to put this horse in 3rd. I was just not enamored with this horse on top of the ticket.
I agree. This horse is 0 for 12 so far, and it just seemed to me like he'd had a lot of chances to win already and wasn't able to. And that's why I thought that this could definitely be a player. He ran on the main track last time and is moving back over to the turf again. He's been switching distances. They've been running at different levels, running on different surfaces, and it just looks like he hasn't been able to find the winner's circle just yet. I wouldn't be surprised to see him right up there in the action, but don't think he'll win again.
Yeah, and I just didn't like that performance, albeit on the main track last time out. He got beat double-digit lengths in that race, and that sort of like cooled me on it. Did not have this horse on my ticket until the scratch is there, but Jaime Mahia is the trainer, and he's got Matt Rispoli. Really, I thought a shaky morning line favorite in there, but every time I say that, those horses usually win, so we'll see what happens. So, 6th race this afternoon is a 7-furlong maiden claiming event for 3-year-olds and up, $10,000. We do have a scratch in here of the number 7 horse, Zukov, and number 5, Little Paul, on top of my ticket in here, Little Paul. Did you use Little Paul?
Yes,
you did.
Little Paul. Yes, Little Paul should be on the top of mine as well. But just to give you a quick little stat on Michelle Nihei, since we're talking about Little Paul, maybe got numbers switched up there. So the 5 Little Paul is the pick here. Cutting back in distance, ran at a mile in the last 2. Michelle Nihei, the trainer, with horses that were in the money last time out in maiden claiming races. 3 for 14, a 21% win, and then in the money 50% of the time with a 268 ROI. And I thought that those were some pretty gaudy numbers. This horse, as I said, second in the last 2 times at the mile as the favorite. Pretty consistent.
Yeah,
looks like
and
it's
I'd
due.
like to turn back to 7 furlongs today. And you saw the great statistics, and the barn has been going very, very well here. So number 5, Little Paul on top of both of our tickets. I used the number 2, BF Forever in second. This one's going to try and turn the tables on Little Paul at 7/8 of a mile after setting the pace and weakening to finish third behind him in their recent confrontation at a mile. So I just thought that was the logical choice behind Little Paul. But I like Little Paul, and I was almost thinking maybe a horse you might be able to single in there. So our selections in there, 5, 2, and I closed it out with the 1, Gunther Brothers.
Yes, I did the same, 5, 2, and 1 for me as well. And I agreed. I kind of liked the 7 Zukov to round out the top 3 with the scratch of that horse. I went into Gunther Brothers, who's 0 for 25 so far, but finished a solid third and ran much better than I expected him to last time. And off of that performance, I thought might be able to continue on.
Yeah, it was 28-1 in that race, and I just thought the scratch of number 7. I did the same thing, used that one on the ticket, but I think we might have the right 2 with the 5, Little Paul, and the 2, BF Forever. Race number 7 this afternoon is 7.5 furlongs, an allowance optional claimer, 3-year-olds and up, $12,500. And we do have a scratch in here of number 8, Little Nick V. And I started it off at least with the number 6 in here, Whisper on the Wind. You went with the number 3, To Questa Storm.
I did. Whisper on the Wind is cutting back to the distance that he definitely seems most comfortable at, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But I went with one of 2 Michelle Nihei trainees in here, and that's the 3, To Questa Storm, who has had back-to-back wins in the past. Came off about a 6 3/4 length victory last time out at the mile, now cutting back to 7.5. The last time that this horse had back-to-back wins was with that same kind of move. So I know that it's possible, and it just even when he doesn't win, he's very consistent. He has quite a bit of early speed, and I thought might be one to beat.
Well, number 6, Whisper on the Wind, who we both have on our ticket. We just got her exacta flip-flop here, is dropping into this 12-5 state-bred optional claimer after his impressive 4-race win streak ending when he finished 6th, but that was against 25 optional claimers, going a mile in his 16th. The trainer's Dane Kabisky, and this is an 8-time turf winner. So I just thought maybe this is the logical choice in there.
Yeah, and to give you a quick stat on Dane Kabisky, in the past 5 years, going route to sprint on the turf, 6 for 23, 26% win, but 48% of the time in the money with a positive ROI of 220. And Whisper on the Wind is a 6-time winner at the distance. 6 out of 19 have been wins. He had actually a 4-race win streak, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him win. I just thought he was a little bit vulnerable and ended up going with one that's a little bit more proven with that move.
Well, talking about Michelle Nihei, on number 1, Hyatt Stude is stepping up today. Face winners and breaking from the rail, led every step of the way to defeat 11 rivals. It was a big field. That was a $35,000 maiden test going a mile. We mentioned the connections here. Leading rider MSCL Jaramillo handling the slight turn back to 7.5 furlongs. Both of these horses from her barn have speed. Someone's going to have to take back.
I agree. And I think that this will probably be the one to do that, as you mentioned. Led every step of the way there, but To Questa Storm is one that has 14 starts so far and is always out to the front. So this one's a little bit lighter raced. I went with the number 2, For All the Marbles, who's dropping to this level now. Ran against $50,000 allowance horses last time out and finished a solid 2nd. That was on the slop. And then had some good form and some wins on the turf prior to that. And I think that the move back over to the turf will certainly be benefit for All the Marbles. Dave Casson, the trainer, Matt Rispoli in the saddle.
Well, we're going to wrap it up today with race number 8, and that's because we have 8 races on the card today. This one, a mile on the turf, maiden claimers, 3-year-olds and up, $16,000. Scratch the number 7, Daddy Duke, and we have a nice 9 runners in this field. And you went with the number 9 on top of for your ticket, and that is Showdown.
Showdown for Mark Cassie, and this horse went off as a big favorite last time out, and it just seemed to lack room there running, and ended up finishing 5th, though beaten only by a length and a quarter. 0 for 5 so far, and I think he's been consistently dropping, now dropping again to this level. I think this might be finally the place for him to get the maiden win.
Well, we have a top 3 just mixed around a little bit. I did go with the number 1, Palme d'Or, who's dropping to this level today. Turned it back to mile. First start since finishing 2nd. It was a $25,000 maiden test going to mile is 16th. It was right here on April 17th. Ralph Nix, Cornelio Velasquez, who finally started winning races the other day. He's doing great here since he arrived in South Florida. So we're sort of in agreement. We got our exacta flip-flop, and we both used the number 8, Little Fool.
I did, and I actually want to go back and show the last race for Little Fool, and just show he ended up finishing 3rd, beaten just by a head that day. It was a very tight photo finish. It looked like he was going to be done at the back, and just came on running when we get this set up. This is back from May 28th, and Traffic Express was the horse that ended up getting 2nd for the photo. Zatara, the winner, there he is, number 5 here in this race. And as I said, it looked like he was just done. It looks like he didn't really have any room to go. You'll see the 6, who is Zatara, the eventual winner of the photo. The 7 on the rail is Traffic Express, who had just led throughout. And Little Fool just comes flying. He's the gray there on the outside, the number 5. And if we can get to the wire, see what a tight photo it was. I remember watching this race, and nobody had any idea who the actual winner was. I thought that this horse finished very solidly through that.
Well, my long shot comes in the last race. I just want to mention it's the number 5, Weezer Gone Gray. If you look at this horse's past performances, I believe he's 15-1 in the morning line, but he had trouble 2 starts back. He was beaten only 2.5 lengths against similar, going 7.5 furlongs last time out, stretching out to a mile. You know, maybe this horse here, you put on your rolling super high 5 ticket or something like that, you're going to get a square price. I just wanted to mention him. That is how we see the Wednesday card, 8 races. Once again, we got a good main track. Firm turf course, should be a lot of fun. The Rainbow Six starts in race number 3 this afternoon.
Yes, starting afresh, so make sure you get on in and build that up again. Good luck.
What do I love about horse racing?